But if you're buying Netflix, you really aren't putting that much, you can put your entire account in Netflix and not take that much that much risk just because it's a very hybrid stock, But if you did it in a $5 stock, that's insane, where one day, 20% moves are so common in a $5 stock, but in a $500 stock, how often do you see, those type of moves? It's just rare. So you're looking at that, the price of stock, the volatility, and then, do you have gains to build into a position? A lot of times I like to, if I'm building into a position, I'm not taking, per se all my risk at once. Okay. So another one is, how do I balance trading leaders with some wild ones? Um, and so, because I will occasionally trade stocks that are, I guess, quote unquote wild ones. Looking just by sorting by the higher ADR, names, the average daily range, and then I just set alerts. And I don't. You capture it occasionally, some of these stocks, but it's not my bread and butter. I might take 1 out of 10 of these type of stocks, but just by, a lot of times I do follow these pivots really well. So just by setting alerts and seeing how, what is it doing in relation, to that? Is it climbing or not? And then, so that's something that, I'll, just track, and I've set alerts at every one of these pivot levels, and just kind of see it. So if in these type of stocks you get bigger moves, so you take fewer shares, and then once it spikes a bit, yeah, spikes you set your stop to even or better. So that's how I would trade kind of the wild stocks. Stocks, I mean, and they all have personalities. Like, I think Oculus started off as kind of a wild one. It maybe became more commonplace. But stocks will go through phases as liquidity comes in. How do I scan? A lot of times I've got a short list of stocks that, anything that has an EP type move or along the way, I'm putting it on my short list, and then I just set the alerts, is go through it every day, update those. And if the alarms go off and they trigger, then that's something I'm looking at, not necessarily to take a position, but I want to know if the market generally is getting stronger or weaker. If stocks are dropping below pivots, I know it's getting weaker. If they're going above, then I know it's getting stronger. So I'll also, go through IPOs. I want to start tracking those. I mean, obviously, we've had some of the best moves this year has been in like CRWV and CRCL, and those are stocks that, just by tracking IPOs and seeing that they're going stronger. HNGE is a new one that just made a new high as an IPO. I've got that. So hopefully, it's still up during this presentation.